Hello, you are watching the debate on Reflets television. Remember, this is a program where we talk about politics, we talk culture, we talk societal issues, and why not religious, economic, and even educational. On today's edition, we are going to be talking about harmonizing the retirement age of civil servants as corresponding to Decree number 802 of December 30th, 2020, signed by the head of state. As corresponding to this decree, the retirement age of civil servants was harmonized to 60 years for Category A and B civil servants and 55 years for Category C and D. Article 2 of this decree states that the measures shall be extended to civil servants who at the date of entry into force of the decree are on a valid extension of service period. On today's edition, as usual, we are going to be receiving two panelists, and there are no other person than Dr. Nick. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you here. It's my first day of coming to your TV station. It's a great place. Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure having you. Thank you so much. And our next panelist is William Leticia. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Promise. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for honoring our invitation. So the two are going to be debating on harmonizing the retirement age of civil servants. Is it a favor to the youth or not? We are going to begin with you, Dr. Nick. Can you comment on this?
In fact, it's a tricky topic, and just like anything, it has some good parts to it and some not very good parts to it. And I'm looking at it like someone from the private sector. I once was a civil servant, and I worked just for 15 years, and I went away. Whether I wanted to or not, that's another story, but I worked for 15 years and I went away. And I think it was a great thing that I left the civil service at the time. It would seem to me like if you know what you're doing and you leave the public service on time, then you have time to catch up and then do something else. You don't work until you're good enough to be buried before you go on retirement. You don't have time to catch up with other things in the world. So it depends on who you are, how you look at it, and so on. It could be a blessing or a curse.
Actually, just as you said, it depends on who you are. But do you think the situation is common in our society today in the land, Leticia?
Not very quite, as I say, considering the decree. I would say it does not really. It has some good parts here, but to me, it has disadvantage than advantages, especially on the youth side, because when I look at it, I do not see the youth in that decree. I do not see any vision for Cameroonian youth in that decree. So, as per se, the vision only keeps keeping Cameroon in the same position and no other thing else.
We are aware that before this decision was signed on the 30th of December 2020, Category A and B civil servants used to retire at the age of 55, and those of Category C and D 50. Does this decision tell us that experience is more like what the government wants?
No, if the government, if it's not really experience, I think it's more of a political move than anything else. Let me explain. There are a group of civil servants who actually were going on retirement too early and that was not good for the government. I'm thinking of medical doctors. It takes so long to train medical doctors and then to train them as specialists. So, like myself, I became a surgeon at 34. After some would specialize, finish their specialization much later, and then they work just for a very short time. And when they are really getting their teeth into the thing, at 55, you're asking them to go. There's a lot of losses there because you've taken so long to train someone, and the time he's got to put into to be of service is so short, and then you throw him out on the streets when he's not yet offered much. And also, some professors in some key areas of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, they would also be going on retirement too early for anyone's good. But these are not really supposed to be problems if we had crafted our nation and our workforce differently. It's because of our mindsets that we see some of the things as punishment or a loss. Let me explain. when you grow and you become an adult, after you've gone to school, learned some theory and have some skills, and you have what it takes to solve problems, you are either employed in the civil service or the private sector. That is now as employment. But for us to actually understand what is going on, I would like to say that there are 5 ways of making money in life.
So, Dr. Nick, sorry for cutting you short, but
yes.
we are going to come back to those
yes.
ways of making money in life.
Yes.
On to you, Madam Leticia. Do you think that the government is being fair, like giving people, according to Dr. Nick, he says that these civil servants or people working for the public sector, they don't have enough time to prove their worth, like to offer what they have been training. So what they have been trained to do, rather. So do you think the government should give them more age limit so that they can prove their worth exactly?
I won't disagree with Dr. Nick. I would say that considering certain professions, yes, an age can be increased. The retirement age can be increased for real. But at the same time, increasing an retirement age for somebody when millions are outside unemployed still is not really balanced and fair to me. So if the retirement age was at 55, I think that every Cameroonian is a Cameroonian and has equal rights. Let everybody be able to work. If the retirement age is 55, let's maintain 55. We could either work on the pay, we make the pay good and working conditions good. So when somebody is leaving for retirement, there is nothing to cry about. You're going to rest and probably would have saved good money to keep you going.
Thank you very much. So we also know that before this decision of December 30th, on December 3rd, the head of state extended the mandate of some administrators who were due retirement and added some 2 and even 3 years to some of these people. Do we also think that when the retirement age of these civil servants who have been prolonged is going to arrive, they are still going to postpone it? According to you, what do you think about this?
No, actually, extending the working age for administrators is actually a waste of resources. It's really a waste of resources. I would rather say that the retirement age in the civil service should be for people in some strategic areas, okay? In some strategic areas which are really technological. But for the other ones, I think it was just a way of giving them more food to continue to eat. It's not because they are so necessary that if they left, the place was crumbled, because there are so many that are trained, that are lying all over the whole place. So I think giving civil servants, administrators, more time in the civil service it's not what we want. Do you want me to develop that other topic that
Yes, I want you to come back to that topic.
That's right, because I want to give a broader understanding to this so that we see how it fits. For starters, the population of Cameroon is 25 million, and might be, I don't know how many adults are inside of working age. Let's just take a rough figure. Let's say 12 million, okay, our working age, so to speak. But the public service has a workforce of about 300,000 persons, and the 300,000 is already too much. It's overbloated. So you have 25 million people over here, and you have 300,000 places in the public service, and it looks like everybody wants to go there. But the unfortunate thing is that is really the way we've been brought up. We think that to be a civil servant is a great thing. That's not where it should go. And this is what I want to bring out here, because we keep going. We have this concours mentality, we have this white collar job mentality, and we think that if you don't have a matricule number, you are the worst of persons, or you failed, or something like that. And just like Leticia was saying, oh, the old ones should go away so young ones can come. 300 people, and we are talking of 25 million. So just imagine that you have to be shifting 300 people all the time, so that you can have 25 million people go through the mill. It's not even feasible. It's not worth it. And Leticia was saying that the salary should be increased so that you should bank enough, so that by the time you are leaving, you should have money. In fact, if you are going to store, if you think you are going to bank some money because you are a civil servant, you are a liar. It's never going to work. You will never have enough money working as a civil servant. I remember when I left the civil service as a medical doctor, after the money had been sliced down, I think I was taking home 200,000 francs. So it's not enough. And let me make this statement again, that when you are a worker, you are an employee, it doesn't matter how hard you work, you can never have enough money. I mean, it's a basic statement.
Money is never enough.
No. If don't make, yes, number one, money is never enough. But the bottom line is, if you are an employee, you will never have enough money. No employee is rich.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Madam Leticia. Do you think actually extending the mandate of this administrator is a waste of time, as he rightly said?
It's a complete waste of time for me and resources, because it's like you're preparing somebody who was already prepared to retire, and there you are doing the preparation with money that could employ somebody. Retirement age does not give room for employment in Cameroon, one thing. So there's no need for me to be using money to do something that could bring something new, a new skill, and probably a right to a citizen too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So white collar jobs, do you think the youth should focus on that, or like you and an entrepreneur? I don't know about your decision of being an entrepreneur, or why you didn't pursue a white collar job, but do you think that according to the mentality the society has given us, white collar jobs is actually the solution to unemployment in the country?
I think Cameroonian youths are very smart now. Everybody is not about the government anymore, because things are getting real. And so many of them are getting into the private sector, into entrepreneurship. And a lot of them have come to understand that it's not about the concours, or it's not about the government. But of course, we will not forget, or we will not just keep the government aside, because it is our government. And we are the youth. We should take part in, or we should have the right to have government jobs and all of that. But many youths are now into the private sector and entrepreneurship. And it's not just because there are not just enough jobs. Some of them grow to find a skill that they can do on their own and make money.
Mr. Nick, you said earlier that there are some domains, like some works that it takes a long time to be trained, and then when you're trained, you are given a limited time to exercise. Can you state at least some of those jobs for us?
I was quoting medicine because you all know that people who study medicine, they put a lot of time in school, and they're very disciplined, they sacrifice a lot and so on, and they don't enjoy themselves like other people. Then they barely start working, and you push them out. But what I was going to say is that actually sending them out is not really a bad thing if we had prepared the private sector, because technically, if we had grown the private sector, then you just switch from the government job into the private sector, where you will even earn more and do even better. Like, you're a surgeon working with the government. You are retired at 55. You are still very strong. You're barely just starting. You go to the clinics and you start working. I mean, private clinics, and you start working. It's easy, and you wouldn't find any surgeon out anyway because you didn't have a job. But I was just using it as an example, and to show you that when you have the skills, you can use the skills in the government sector just as much as in the private sector. So for someone like a surgeon retiring at 55, I mean, it's a good thing in the sense that, I mean, he just goes into the private sector and he can earn even 5 times as much as what he was getting in the government job. It's just that, you know, when you do that, also you probably weaken the services in the government sector. So for people who are really technicians, they never lack jobs.
Okay.
But the problem is with people who just study, let's say you just study history and you are employed in government. That's the kind of person who has a problem. And then when the government is giving you back your job to continue at 60, you are not bringing anything new to the table. In fact, if you left at that time and then went and learned how to rear chicken, you are more useful. I think that's what Leticia was getting at too.
Okay,
you go and do something else. Yes.
You talked of we building the private sector. What do you refer to as a we in this context?
We is our country, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cameroon is ours. You don't expect the Chinese to build it. The Chinese are building their own private sector. Nigerians are building theirs. If we don't build ours, too bad for us. So it's I'm happy that some young people like Leticia, they are already joining hands in building that private sector. Entrepreneurship is the thing. And when we are talking real entrepreneurship, is not this buy and sell. buy and sell, it's okay. Put some money in your pocket. The real entrepreneurship is when you convert water into wine. That is, you add value to a system, and then you sell it. You put you bring in some technological inputs to do something, so that you change something from A to B that has market value, and you sell. So, and economics is about selling goods and services. So if you are in the service sector, you're providing some services that are great, and for which you are paid. So, I mean, it's just this bunch of things, and entrepreneurship is that thing that is not taught in our schools, and that's where we're having a huge problem.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nick, and Miss William Leticia. You're also aware that on the same day, Dion Gute signed a release to the same effect for government workers. And what do you think about this coincidental move by the head of state and the Prime Minister?
I don't know if...
For the private sector?
For the government, for government workers still.
Oh.
Not for private workers.
Okay.
To me, I would say, I don't know if it is good. It's coincidental, but it is good if that would be effective. Yes, increasing the retirement age it's not really okay for me. But what I worry about is, will this age be respected? Will all the civil servants retire at 55 and 60 years? Because we all know sometimes they work more than that.
Okay, does this move, according to you, help in reducing the unemployment rate? We are also aware that Cameroon stands at a 3.4% unemployment rate, in youth unemployment in the country.
Well, of course, it's obvious that it does not reduce unemployment in any way. It leaves out the youth and every other unemployed person, the decree that has recently been signed. Because when you increase just 1 year, then it's much, because in that 1 year thousands will graduate. Where will they go to? And if increasing the retirement age with the same working conditions, the same pay, it's like we are just we are dancing around and around the same spot as a country.
Dr. Nick,
yes,
can you tell us what the government should have done in place of increasing the retirement age of these administrators?
Let's not bother about administrators. Can we say probably? Yeah. So. Let's talk about something else that's more useful in our time, really, because we have just said that giving more time to those administrators is a waste of resources, waste of things, and so on. I was going to say that there are 5 ways of making money, and like I keep saying, the greatest problem of Cameroon and Africans, we suffer from ignorance and irresponsibility. And then the second thing that I want to say, the 3 things that I have put in some statements, is that we don't understand problems. And I'm sure I'm speaking, Leticia would understand me very well now, because she has the entrepreneurial mind. So number 1, Cameroonians, our youth, and most of us and civil, we don't understand problems. Number 2, we don't know how to solve problems. And number 3, we don't know how to make money. Okay, keep those things in mind. And then I was saying that there are 5 ways of making money. 4 are legitimate. 1 is not. This one that is not is, if you want money, just steal it, just rob the state treasury. Illegal ways, this corruption and so on. Okay, so that you will see a minister or a director very rich, and his salary is not much. So he got it by stealing. So you can make money, number 1, by being an employee. And any employee, doesn't matter where you are, you're only 1 check away from poverty. Number 2, you can make money by being self-employed, and I think that's where Leticia is. Leticia is self-employed, and as her business, as she continues to do what she is doing, she will employ other youths, and then the thing can continue to grow. And if she does it well, it can grow into the 3rd one, which is a business where she's employing probably about 50 people. Are you getting what I'm saying? Or to 100 people.
When the private sector
that's the building now of the private sector. And then the 4th and most important way of making money is when you are an investor. Good examples are Dangote, Baba, Alaji Baba, you see, those are investors. Now, many of us, we grow thinking that we can only make money, or we make it by being an employee, and that is wrong. And what I'm saying here is that we have to move people from this mentality of employee. That's why when the president adds more years, people are happy. You don't have no reason to be happy to be an employee. No. You have to move graduate, move from that employee status to a self-employed person, or to a business. That's where we should be pushing people to, not recycling all ducks in the employee pool. Are you getting what I'm saying? So as long as we are recycling people in the employee pool, it's a total waste of time and resources.
Thank you so much, Leticia. Let's visit the labor code a bit. Let's start with you again, Dr. Nick. What does the labor code say about working under the public sector of the country?
I don't know what it's a long time I didn't look at it. In fact, if you spend your time, of course, like an employer, probably I should know what the labor code is saying about many things and so on. But I know that if I employ you, I agree with you, how much I'm going to pay you, what you're going to do and so on, and I do my best for you to have the best working conditions, because if you're happy, then you do the job properly. And then also what I would like to say on the television is that when most people are employed, you see, you've heard this concept of job security, where people say, I want to go and be in the civil service for job security, job security. Let me tell you this thing. If you work even in the private sector, job security is not something that your employee provides for you. Job security is something that you do for yourself. Maybe you will not understand. But let's say I have a business, and Leticia might understand this very well. Do you employ some people, Leticia?
Yes.
Good. See, amongst the people that Leticia employs, she has some that are very, very good. And when you have a very good employee in your business, that person is an asset to you. So at no time are you going to leave that asset to go away. So people who work very well and are great workers, they are seen as assets in an institution, which means they bring more. They make the institution grow, and therefore it will only be a very stupid employer who will send away his best employees. So how do you become the best employee? By putting in your best, by doing your best and working for the institution to grow. That's the bottom line. But when we don't understand this, then we keep running. What does the law say? People run after the law. But what you should do is look for the principles that work and puts you in good standing, period. It's not what the law says. It's what are you doing there? Are you the best worker there? If you are the best worker there, you will get the best opportunities. Everything will be good for you. But if you are playing tricks, no good.
Thank you so much, Leticia. Tell us about what do you think the labor code supports about the public sector working in Canada?
Like Dr. Manyan said, it's been a while I've read the labor code, but one thing I know about the code is employers use it to play with their employees, and employees too can use to play politics with their employees. Because if the labor code says, for instance, the minimum pay is 36,000 francs and he could pay 50,000 francs, he now says, at least I'm paying you according to the yes, and say we'll start paying you 36,000 francs. It's not like at that 36,000 francs level you're going to do less work. You're going to do the same thing you'll be doing. And to me, it's between an employer and an employee. I think you can set up your own working conditions or rules and regulations, and if they are okay by you two, you agree and we get the work done, rather than following the labor code. But of course it's important because it protects the employer as well as the employee, but very few people really do read the code these days. Yeah.
So who can be blamed actually for the unemployment rate? Is it the youth, the public, or the private sector?
Who can be blamed for the unemployment rate in Cameroon?
The high unemployment rate.
I would say it's Cameroonians. Not anybody in particular, it's us as Cameroonians. Because if you're some youths grow to just think it's about the concours and it's about just a very talented somebody is just relying on the concours. And there you're stopping there. If you don't build your skill, you'll not employ the people you are supposed to employ, because now you're just running after a concours.
Okay. Dr. Nick, I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you think the youth, the public or the private sector employees are to be blamed for the high unemployment rate in the country?
The high unemployment rate in the country comes from very far. Okay, it's something that we are not aware of. It's our educational system that has messed us up so badly, and it's put people in a position where they don't think. You know, they lack critical thinking skills, they lack entrepreneurship skills, they lack character, they just lack just about anything. You think that you just go to school, go and pass your A levels, you have 7 papers, go to university, study geography, then you come on and somebody would employ you. It doesn't work like that. Oh, you know, it doesn't work like that. And you know, like before we were talking about how much you should be paid. That how much you should be paid has got nothing to do with your certificate, especially in the private sector. On some the diploma, what can you offer? You see, it works like this. I have a job to out there for people to do. Let's say I need someone with a master's degree. When I put it out there, 20 of you are going to apply. Among the 20 of you, I'm going to look for the person who can do the job. And who has got the right? Yes, it's not just, I don't just pick you because you have a degree. No. Number one, do you really know how to do the job? Number two, do you have the right attitude? Once you have those things, I will pay you what it takes to do the job. You see, so it is these things that would raise your salary or decrease it, because you could still have two people with masters working in the same institution. One is earning more than the other. You get what I'm saying? Back to your question. You know, the nature. Nature means our environment, our country. We have problems to solve, and nature pays you for solving problems. Nature does not pay you for your degree, doesn't pay you for your certificate. Your certificate is just an indication that you have studied this thing. And if you have studied the right thing and you have the right skills, you can solve the problem. Once you solve the problem, nature will pay you. But come up with your PhDs, and if you can do nothing, if you cannot solve a problem, nature will not give you a kobo. Are you getting, is it making some sense? Exactly. That is the bottom line, and that's what people should be looking at. So the question is, our school systems and our universities, have they been teaching us how to solve problems? The answer is no. Because we have so many children. It's not the number of masters or PhDs or that are on the street. No. Those children, do they know how to solve problems? If they cannot solve problems, they are going to be on the street. That is the bottom line.
We are also aware that you are someone from the educational sector.
Yeah.
So I think the trend of education is changing. Most universities, especially private, are training more people to become job creators than job seekers.
No, when you put it like that, it's not correct, because the Cameroon government, since from 2002, has been trying to encouraging the private universities, and the purpose of the private universities is not to be doing what is being done in the state universities. The bottom line, the raison d'etre of the private universities is to teach professionals. That's the bottom line. But unfortunately, at the beginning, people got authorizations, and then went back again and were taking professors and teachers from the state universities to come and teach the very thing that is teaching in the state universities. And so for some time, it was noticed that the private sector universities were not doing the job for which they were doing. They were still training more people who were coming onto the street and looking for jobs. And therefore, that's why there were some reforms of curricula and so on to try to correct that, so that we actually train people who create jobs. And when you are trained as a professional, well, as soon as you graduate, you might not necessarily create your own job, but you can be working for somebody, and it is understood that in the next 3, 4, 5 years, you're also creating a job, or youth like that could come together and create something that creates a system for generating money. So that is actually the way to go. And we should go into, you know, what China did 40 years ago was the Chinese government went in there and converted 70% of all their universities into polytechnics, because they just realized that these open universities were not doing much good. They converted everything to polytechnics to give people skills, and that's why you see China the way she is today.
Do you think the private sector educational system is actually training job creators than job seekers?
I, for one, I schooled in the private sector. I would say it's more practical than most government universities, but at the same time, when you go out to the field, that is where there is more work. And it brings me to this question: why don't you just teach us what we are going to do in the field? Why is it that when we leave school, go out before we start to, it's like you're beginning a new school again? I don't know if our government notice this, or our lecturers, they can just teach us what we should do exactly after school. So to me, no, they give practical works like 30%, 70% is still theoretical, and that still leaves you a job seeker and job hunter when you leave school. So I think practice should be done. as much as possible, even 70% practice and 30% theory.
I'm going to redirect your question to Dr. Nick. Why do they not teach us students what they should do out of the day?
No, they don't teach you because you can only give what you have. All right. So, for 60 years, the white man came and gave us something that he called education, and the white man gave us something called education to teach us how to communicate, to read and write, basically. And the white man was not interested in you learning technology. You will realize that a few years back, I understand that the IMF even told our government that running technical schools was very expensive, and that they should switch to this grammar school thing, which was a poison for us. And our people just swallowed it without thinking. You understand? And so they just went into this grammar thing, just training people grammar. And it is that grammar thing that is killing the nation. Not that grammar subjects are not good, but grammar without the technology is useless. Are you getting what I'm saying? So we needed to put the grammar and the technology to be going together so that children sort out themselves. So that, imagine today, just imagine the children of the grammar school and the technical school brought together, and then we throw them out there. And on another television station, we were discussing the student-centered learning. Student-centered learning will be bringing out the strength in you and strength in you, because the way you studied before, you just sat there and the teacher was vomiting things at you. But in the student-centered learning, the students are self-discovering and the teacher is just helping them to move on. You get the difference. So we lack two things. We needed this student-centered kind of education, and we need to change our curriculum, what we are studying in schools. We need to change, and then 70% of what we are studying in school should be STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics based. And then you have to put into it soft skills, agriculture, and then build the characters of students, and then emotional intelligence. All these things go together as a package. But we followed a path that leads to death. And the teachers who are teaching today came from that system that I was trying to describe to you, and they have not been imbibed with that kind of knowledge and understanding. So they can only give you what they have, and that's why we are spinning around in circles.
We follow a path that leads to death.
That's right.
What path is that?
The path that leads to death is the path where you can solve your problems. And let me show you the death. President Paul Biya made a political statement, a policy statement that we should emerge by 2035. I'll throw it back to you. What does it mean to emerge in 2035? I'm asking you, just so that our listeners too should be asking themselves, what does it mean when the president says we have to emerge by the year 2035?
Emergence by 2035.
What does it mean?
Economically, politically, everything has to change, evolve.
Yes.
That's what he meant by that.
What is that? What are the indicators?
The indicators of the involvement, it includes the economy has to change, the system has to change, technology has to change. Good.
Now, since we are running out of time, let me just put it this way. You are right. Once you say we are emerging in 2035, it means something has got to change. And the change is not going to happen in 2035. The change is happening now. And then we can see, you plant the coconut tree now. And then in 2035, you see the fruits. And you cannot wait to plant the coconut in 2035. You will never get it. And so when he's saying we emerge by 2035, he's saying that by 2035, we are going to have very beautiful hospitals, beautiful roads. We should have our own cars that we made ourselves. We should have our own cell phones that we made ourselves. We should have our own airports, and it should be our children and daughters flying those airlines and so on. Are you getting what I'm saying? And we should be building our roads ourselves. It should not be the French people, the Chinese people, and so on doing things for us. 2035 means we should be developed. Whatever that means, we should be developed, and that development should be caused by our youths. Are you getting the point?
If that development is to be caused by our youth, why is the youth not? I'm going to ask you this question. Sorry for cutting.
No, but I mean you get the essence.
I get it. I get the point. So why are the youth not being placed in the forelines, in the front lines right now?
Exactly. If we are to emerge by 2035, and that emergence is going to be caused by the youth, and you're signing a degree increasing retirement age for the old, how is this connected? It's like we have a good vision, but the strategies are poor.
No, she has the microphone, but let me just say something and correct something to say before we get lost. What I want to tell you is that emergence will not be caused by the civil service. All right, so forget about the employment in the civil service. If they like, they should stay there for donkey years. But the most important thing is open up and do what it takes for all these our youths to be able to work in the private sector and make those things happen. Because the civil service is just a control mechanism. It's just there to oversee policies and so on. The civil service does not generate money. It doesn't really generate ideas. It has nothing. Are you getting what I'm saying? And as I told you, it's a death trap. So the focus should be on all these youths who are all on our streets. And if you're talking about the civil service, what you're saying is those teachers who are teaching in the civil service, why don't we reformat them? Why don't we reformat the universities and so on, so that we get what is right? You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, but if emergence will not be caused by the public service, I agree. But most of these key positions, those positions where you can take very important and delicate decisions for the country, they're in the public sector. We need some of these youths, fresh minds.
But if you were to put the youths there,
yes,
without this knowledge I'm giving you, nothing will change.
Let's leave the public service out of this.
That's right.
Yeah, let's leave the public service. Let's talk about empowering these youth.
Correct.
Let's talk about what can we do to empower the youth, like to take off the lead, like bring the emergence.
That's right. You see, I'm trying to put my foot down because we have been so over-concentrated on the public service. We think it is the God Almighty. It's not as important as you think. You understand? That's why I'm trying for people to move from that public service thing.
The mentality of accountability has already been built on the public service.
That is right. That's why I'm fighting and I'm cracking it down. So that we should, because when you are locked in that hole, in that tiny box, it doesn't work. Think out of the box, grow out of the box, go out of the box. The juice is outside, it's not inside the box. So now, what exactly do we need to do? Okay, let me rephrase it. What, maybe I should pick your brains. How can we create 2 million jobs for youths every 2 years in Cameroon? Are you saying I reframed everything?
And unfortunately, unfortunately, with due respect, you are not given the right to ask questions on this panel. You are going to be answering the questions.
No. This is not. I'm not asking questions. It's rhetorical.
Okay.
Are you getting me? If you just ask questions, ask answer. No, so that's not it. But you have to get. When I'm asking those questions and doing this, you are helping people to think. Otherwise, what we are doing again, you remember when we were talking, I said that our kind of education was kind of rot education, where you sit and things are just thrown at you. But now we have to change to student-centered education. In student-centered education, people ask rhetorical questions and then you look for the answers. So when we ask questions like that, the listener out there, he will remember the question I was asking. He say, hey, but what does he mean? Then we start to, but if I just started and they started to recite how you should do it, they will not retain even 1/10 of what I said. But when you ask how do you do it, it challenges it challenges all our listeners, be they students, be they the administration, be they whoever. Are you getting me? And the bottom line is you cannot create those jobs if you don't change the school system. You cannot create those jobs if you don't bring something, if you don't cross-pollinate what we are doing. We have to go out there and bring teachers from India, from South Korea, from Malaysia, and from Singapore to come and teach our own teachers.
Let me cut you short. If you are going out there to still bring people into us,
yes.
You earlier said that emergence is not by us bringing in people from other countries to teach us how to do things or to do things for us. Is this not by somewhere barring our emergence?
Okay. Okay. Let me show you. You cannot give what you don't have.
Exactly.
So in the first instance, because you don't have it, you ask somebody to come and teach you how to do it. Once he has taught you, he goes away and you are left with the skills. All right. Up until now, 95% of the things you see anywhere in our supermarkets are imported. The question is, how do we change that? And because we don't have the skills and the technology, and our teachers don't have the skills and our technology, and our schools are not built to do that, and we have no industries, that's the bottom line, we have no industries, we must go to someone who has done it, who knows how to do it, and say, sir, please, can you come over to Macedonia and help us?
Do you agree with that?
I agree. There are certain things that we don't really have the skills and we need help. And it's okay to be vulnerable as a country at the time. You ask for help, you get the skills that you need, and then you leave behind and do the work for your people. To me, to attend this Emergence 2035, we need to have the government, not only the government, we the youths, the whole country have to have a good vision for the youth and for the tomorrow and for the whole country, thinking about the well-being of Cameroon. The government should also try to like bring good business conditions for the youths, involve the youths in investment. China is coming to Cameroon to build a road. Bring in your own conditions. At least 20,000 youths, Cameroonian youths, must be part of this deal. You must pay them at least this amount, and that is a good deal. And we cannot, I don't think there's a year that goes by without an investor coming into Cameroon to do something. And imagine if we keep pushing our youths in that pace. That would be, it's not small. Just the skills that those youths will get from executing this project with these people once they are back, they stay behind to build and build other people, and that's how we grow.
So it's left on the government to set down these rules and empower the youth.
Oh yes, it's left on the government and it's left on the youth itself. Not everybody is going to take part in a project where the government will involve the youth. So you as an individual youth, you also try to discover yourself, and you have to be smart as well. Yeah, it's not about having a job, it's about being smart, because there are people who work really smart that you don't, it's not about carrying a bag of cement up and down. You just
they say work smart and don't
exactly
work.
Just use your brain. There are a lot of youths out there who are doing really smart work. You must not have, Cameroonians too think is, many youths don't know that they can do so many things at a time. If you succeed to have a job, it's good. Do a little business by the side. Maybe you have your junior one or a cousin or someone somewhere who is not having a work, and you're able to earn 50,000 francs. You can take 10,000 francs and maybe buy lotus, bonbon, biscuit and put beside the house for the person who is unable to get the job, to take care of that. And that's how we'll help each other grow. There will be no unemployment.
Dr. Nick, do you
she said some two good things that I was listening so keenly that I even forgot what I was saying. Now, she said something, you know, when you said that about the government employing Chinese, asking Chinese to do some jobs for us. Now, this is what happens. When you sign a contract with a Chinese company or whatever company to do work for you, you have to insist that so many of your own youths are part of it. So many engineers, so many whatever, so that the children pick up the skills. It's not necessarily the salary,
yes,
but the skills that those people have, so that in working with them, they pick up those skills, so that when those people eventually leave, those skills are left behind. That's the most important thing. It's not really the job, it's not the monetary aspect that they will get out of it. It's the skills that they will tap out of those people. Okay? And what I remember is that in Nigeria they have some rules out there, in the sense that if, let's say, they were to build dams, okay, they will bring a Chinese company to build a dam. When the Chinese company is coming to build the first dam, they will put in so many Nigerians. When they're building the second dam, those Nigerians will still be there. When they are building the third dam, the Nigerians will be the one building the dam, and the Chinese will be supervising. By the time they are building the fourth dam, the Chinese are out. Are you getting the way it goes? That's the way you do it.
That's, they get trained while they
Yes. You don't sit and then you are running around drinking mimbo, and then for donkey years, and other people are doing your shit work, and you will never get out of the rut. Does it make some sense?
Of course.
Yes.
So let's go back to your student-centered education, which you mentioned, and you of course also said that they need to change the curriculum of schools in the country.
Yes.
What are you proposing?
This is what we do. What we call curricula today, starting from primary school to university, bundle them up, put them somewhere, throw petrol on them, put them on fire. Are you getting what I'm saying? You have to be like, you know, when Lot was leaving Sodom to go out, you know, he turned his back on everything. If you look at it, you become a pillar of salt. So forget about those things that are there and go forward. Get now to people who have done it and it has worked. Don't go to France. Don't go to Britain. They don't have it. Go to Finland. Go to South Korea. Go to Malaysia. Go to Singapore. They have it. All right? Get the curricula, how they begin to teach, how they teach their children from nursery to primary to secondary and to university, and what kind of university. Copy that and bring it here. You get what I'm saying? And then feed your children that. The same techniques they use for teaching, the same kind of things they teach might be some of your other specific problems that you have here. You can help your children to look at those problems so they solve it. But the curricula and the technique, we should get them from those other people, and we should correct a lot of things. Bring all our teachers, university teachers, and so on, and realign them. Those that cannot be realigned, send them home. You know. Like all our university programs now, if I were to be in charge, for instance, I would ask that every university lecturer and professor take a piece of paper, write your name on it, tell me what you are doing. Okay, you are teaching this. Tell me part B. Tell me what you can do if I remove you from that post. Are you getting me? If you tell me that you can only teach, in fact, I will remove you, because what you are telling me is that you as a professor, you cannot do anything other than teaching, and then you are taking 1,000 other children and teaching them to do nothing else but to teach. Are you getting what I'm saying? And therefore you're punishing them, you are locking them in something that is not useful. But when you are teaching something that has arms and way and leads out of it, then you can develop that, and then that's how the professions grow. Is this making some sense? Yes. And then we give those teachers, we give them a refresher course. They go to these other countries and learn and come, and we build it up. And the bottom line will be 70% of it will be STEM related: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Giram Leticia, do you think that if we adopt this system of education, and don't you think there's going to be a gap in the society? Like, we have already trained some group of people in a different system of education, and now we are retraining some other people in another system. Is it not going to cause harm, hazardous situations in the community?
To be able to be developed, we must change. I think every Cameroonian has accepted that fact that there are a lot of things that must change in our country. Well, yes, everybody would not have the same opportunity if we have to change the curriculum, the system right now. But it's for our own good. We need that change. And I think they will be able to understand that what I'm not able to do today, my child will be able to do tomorrow. We will not be crying over the same worries every year. Like, if we really work on the educational system, no matter where we are going to get these skills, whether we're going to take it from Finland or from Ghana or from Rwanda or wherever we can get it, let us do more of practical in our schools. Let us keep the theory. We have been doing theory all our life and teaching really some things that are not even related to our country. Like, I still remember my teacher always asking me who discovered the sea route to India. And until now, I don't know how it has helped me nor anybody around me. You should be, if we must ask the question like that, let it be about our own country. Or we should ask something relevant, maybe say where can you find this type of skill in India? So at least when I grow up, I know that this particular skill, teach something that can help the youth tomorrow. The sea route to India is for the Indians. It's not for the Cameroonians. Growing a hibiscus flower, well, you know, there are just so many things. I'm just trying to say that our educational system needs to be worked on and changed on. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Nick, are you commenting on that?
Yeah, she was saying something. I don't know why I get so distracted. She's saying things and I keep following up because she's young and I'm trying to see whether she's keeping pace and she's getting it right. There was it was something that your question that you asked. You said we want to change the education system. What will we do with the people, with the others?
The others that have already been trained in a different education system.
No, now I was going to ask you the question. Trained in what? In nothing. You see, that's why they're on the streets, because they're trained in nothing. That's why PhD people are crying at the ministry, because they're trained in nothing. That's why they are riding motorcycles, because they're trained in nothing. Are you getting what I'm saying? What you thought was training was not training. And in fact, if somebody comes to your door and then makes an application for a job, and then it comes, or you during an interview you say, okay, what can you do? And when the person says, give me anything, that statement, anything, means nothing. Is it making sense? And that nothing, there's too much of that nothing outside. So don't even think about it. Let's reformat them.
We should reformat these people.
Yeah, reformat all of them.
Do you accept creative here?
For those who have already been trained, how can we reformat them? It's just about training those who are coming. Those who have been trained already will see this change. Trust me, if we really attain this objective as Cameroonians. Even those who were trained before won't even think twice. They would just be happy for the whole, because it's going to help them too. It's not about those who have been trained and those who have not been trained. We are all seeking for a better Cameroon, and if you are not fortunate enough to be born in that era, you should at least be hopeful that your children, your grandchildren, or those coming behind you will be part of it, and things will not be the same again.
May I just say something on what you... This what we are calling training is something I'm trying to drive through. What you are calling those who have already been trained, they have not been trained. Because if they were trained, to train means you had the knowledge, and then you had the skills. You remember when I started saying you don't understand problems. When you are trained means you have been given the opportunity to understand problems, and you have been given and you have been given the capacity to solve them. To say you are trained means you can do these things. Yes, people have gone through schools, but to say they have been trained is not true. Because if they were trained, they will be doing things. Are you getting me? As long as you don't have the capacity to do things, you have not been trained. You have gone to school.
The school has not been trained.
Yeah, but you have not been trained. There's a two different concepts. Just because you went and you have a first degree or a master's doesn't mean you have the capacity. If you have the capacity, you will not be having problems.
Okay, so let's talk about what we can do to remove the mentality of from these youth. Remove the mentality that they have to depend only on the government, because it's so focused on the youth. Like most of them believe in concours, they don't believe that they can work, they can pick up a skill and develop it. What can we do to remove this mentality from them?
It is like someone said, it's still the government. It comes back to the government to change the course, the direction, to change the course of the train on the rails. Okay, it's for government to stand up and create a lot of opportunities in the private sector, and help youths to get in there. For instance, you know, if you go to our universities, I noticed this sometimes back in the University of Boya and also National Polytechnic Bambui during the graduation. I was in Boya, and before the thing actually started, you know, there was this animation, and there was a lot of animation and so on, and there were so many people that were happy. You know, when it came to the graduation proper, there were about 2,000 to 3,000 students who were graduating with a first degree in social sciences, and they were so happy. They thought, oh, are you getting what I'm saying? And then as they were coming down to technology, I'm sure at the end of the day there were less than 15 people in agriculture and engineering. Are you getting what I'm saying? So the whole thing was queued over there, and the real thing, there was nobody. We need to switch that around. If we don't switch that around, we'll keep on deceiving ourselves. We have to switch it around and make sure that, as of now, you would have noticed that when you go to any secondary school or any setting, 15 to 30% are in the sciences, the rest are in the arts. We need to switch that around so that you have 70% more people in the sciences. And if many people are running away from the sciences, it's just because the way the teachers were delivering the thing was a little bit frightening. And you need to have teachers who know how to do it, who help children discover principles and so on, and not run away from things. So we just need to help ourselves and make sure that we switch things around and government should help create a lot of opportunities in the private sector. And how can we do that? You know, I learned something very important a couple of years back during the 8th May. 8th May is when you have 8th of March or something like that, where Women's Day. There was this. They were marching on this 20th May Avenue, and I saw something that was very beautiful. There were women that were driving caterpillars, driving trucks. I don't know whether you ever saw it. Women were driving caterpillars, driving trucks, and driving all this heavy equipment. You see, that to me was something that had to be encouraged. But I get the impression that they just did it for the sake of show. But it should be real. It should be real, where women and girls like you are jumping on caterpillars and doing all sorts of things and really working. That's using technology, because though they are on a caterpillar, they are not using force. It's working smart. It's working smart. It's not about digging with holes and so on and so. So in fact, in reality, and that's another thing that you said, which I like. Today it's not about working hard. It's not about working hard. It's about working smart. And the nation should help our youth to create opportunities to work smart.
Madam Leticia, in a minute's time, can you give us tell us what the youth should do more, like to work smart. They shouldn't work hard, but to work smart. What kind of things should they get involved in?
Sometimes being a youth, it's challenging, and you're excited by so many things unless till that moment where life hits you, where you realize that where you are, you're on your own. If you don't do this tomorrow, tomorrow is going to be the same. So I would just say that youths need to take our time to think, to know where you're coming from, to strive to be ambitious and not comfortable. Because there are a lot of youths who really just get comfortable. Once a youth is uncomfortable, trust me, there are ideas flowing. You would think, and you definitely pick one idea and you will work on it. So I would just say youth should be smart, yes, and the government should equally bring good change the educational system. Some of these things, there are some people that just need to be guided, and if you don't guide us, there's no way for us to even believe in ourselves or to have a particular thing to do. The government should please change the educational system, and youth should be more responsible, take out time to think what you want to do with your life, and trust me, it's going to work.
Thank you so much. Dr. Nick, can you give us your conclusion on this subject? Like, what the youth should focus on more?
The youths, the government, everybody. As I said, the problems of Africa, of Cameroon, are ignorance and irresponsibility. Ignorance, when you don't know, you don't know. So try to know. Number two, irresponsibility, you know, yet you don't put it to use. Okay? You see like the fire accident on that thing, that's irresponsibility. It was caused by irresponsibility. And then, so we need to, even now as we are saying that the government should change things, all youths, they have smartphones and computers and so on. Use those things to do your own research and study, do your own personal studies. You go on YouTube, find out how things work, look at all these things. Something is going to click in your mind and you're going to do it. Like now I can tell you how to reproduce, you know this fish called, this fish with a big head that is used for cooking bongo chobi, what is it called again?
Mashwarong.
Mashwarong. That mashwarong is yes. Something. Yeah, I can tell you how to reproduce it in the laboratory. I mean, in a way that you reproduce a lot of fingerling, because I watched the YouTube, learned everything about it. Though I have not done it, but you know, I'm so excited about it that that's the kind of thing people should do. Go there, learn things. Is it to stitch a dress, or is it to do something? How to do you grow tomato? Whatever, learn it. Is all the information is out there on Google it, learn it, read the books, then go to the masters and learn.
Thank you. Just as it is said, use what you have to get what you don't have. Ladies and gentlemen, it is on this note that we are ending this edition of the debate. Thank you so much. It has been an exciting moment with you, Madam William Leticia. Thank you for honoring the invitation once more.
You're very much welcome.
Dr. Nick, it's a pleasure having you on this studio. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure as well.
Thank you so much. Remember, politics, education, culture, social, religious, and why not economic issues are what we are, of course, discussing on this table of the debate. It has been an exciting moment with you. 50 minutes of debating on issues affecting Cameroon, issues affecting Africa. Thank you so much. And of course, another Thursday, that's next Thursday, we will be here for another edition. Goodbye.